Hi there and welcome back to my channel, Paolo here, and the model I would like to show you today is a quite interesting one if you like the same type of cars that I like, and it is, as you can see, it is an HTM Alfa Romeo TZ2. TZ2 was a kind of GT car that they used in 1969 and was the same type of car, to have an idea, like the GTO and so on. So the car is also quite similar to the GTO, slightly smaller, I have to say. And this model is a resin kit, is a kind of unicorn, in the modeling kit world, because it is one of the rarest items you can find around. And as you can see, I found some of them, not only one, but they are not in the new pristine conditions, so they are models that have been scrapped down by me, and I wanted to take the bare resin coming to life like it was in the beginning. This model in the beginning was painted in red already with the 2K gloss over, so the paint was not so bad, honestly. It was kind of smooth, but they had a little quantity of chipping points on the paint. I think that probably this paint work had been made, I guess, 20 years ago or something like that, And the interesting stuff is that the guy that is producing these models, that was producing this model for the HTM should be a firm from a guy from Sicily. I never met him in person, but he always has been kindly to me. He was a guy that I know in forums and also in Facebook, and Mickey is a very kindly guy from Sicily, and I think he was involved in some of the Targa Florio stuff around the event, because he was extremely knowledgeable about the Targa Florio cars and vehicles, and also the TZ2 was a car that belonged to that race. Also, she raced also in the Targa Florio in the 60s. So, and the interesting point is that the guy that was actually casting these models, I think more or less 20 or 25 years ago, something like that, it is nowadays the same guy that is casting for me the resin that I sell, so my 690 cabs and the Acura NSX, the Corvette, the Porsche. It's the same guy, But when I showed him this model, he didn't recognize the resin, so he don't think that this was a production that he made. It can also be that maybe HTM made a different production from other manufacturers, because the resin used here is much more similar to the Japanese resin, is much more yellowish. Mine is a little bit pale, and I think still today, if you try to Google for HTM TZ2 in 1/24 scale, you will end probably in, there is an auction, I think is on the Japanese eBay, that is around $500 for a kit, if not more. This was during the 2022, is a kit that is there for sale. I think it will be forever. The model of the TZ2 have been made also by Model Factory Hero. I think also here we are talking about 10 years ago. They are talking of reprint, reissue this model that they made, and it was probably more interesting than this because it was completely full open vehicle, so you can make all the parts completely open. And instead, this is a curbside model, so it was absolutely the first generation of models. That also I like them so much, because you can appreciate completely the shape of the vehicle and so on. And in this particular model, I think the master was absolutely well done. I have no idea who was the maker of the master. I think I read around that it was somebody in Japan making the original mold of this car, and I think the shape is absolutely well taken, and we are talking of a kind of conventional resin kit of that period, so you have quite thick parts molded in this kind of ultra resistant and very, I think is very quality stuff, because even if you treat them with I use a kind of soda to take it away, all the paint and the brake fluid, you know, the .4. So it was kind of aggressive over the plastic, but the resin survived with absolutely no issues, and the surface looks absolutely perfect, and with not major scratches. You know, the only little scratches that I found is something that I made during the cleaning process, you know, because of course in small corners and in the angle areas, you know, panel lines and so on, is something that you have anyway to clean by your own. So there is still the tracks of the original primer. You know, the car have been properly painted in this, you still see down there tracks of the original paint. This nice Italian red, I think was mostly an Alfa Romeo red, because it was a little darker than the ordinary Ferrari red. The Alfa red was a little bit darker, very well done. And of course the painter at the time of this model applied a white primer before painting the model, you know. So this is the track that you still see around this body, you know. The kit itself is nicely well done, and it's composed of I divided it because having several of them, I have another one that is kind of incomplete. I don't know if it was supposed to be a kind of a slot racer master, because it don't have the under part, you know. In these curbside models the under part was extremely simple, you know. It's something like this that just gives you a basement and referring points to place the front and rear axle for the setup of the model, you know. And it was absolutely simple, you know. This was painted in black, as you can see, so I had to clean everything, took away the differential part that was molded, I think, in metal, you know. There was a lot of pieces to scrap down. I took the model that were nearly completely already assembled, you know, so being resin, you have to be extremely careful when you strip it down, because you never know. I never seen this model before, so I didn't know the lines, where to work and where to cut, to divide and bring it back to the original condition, you know. I wanted to strip it down completely from the previous work and then maybe restart and make it my version, you know. And together with the main body, you also will find inside this kit just one shot. I think it is not usually in the vacuum form parts of this model you find the 2 or 3 samples of parts, because it's very easy to damage the part when you're going to cut them to place them in the position, like the windshield and the rear windshield, you know. Instead, in this model I just have one for each, so it's one shot, one kill. I have to make it in the best manner, everything at the first trial, you know. I don't have any second chance, you know. Well, usually in the models you have 2 or 3 of this one, at least in the model that I found around, you know. So this is just one, but I think it's no problem. After so many years, I have to say that, because this is surely a cast of, as I said, 20-25 years ago, you know, and usually the vacuum form part used to yellowish quite easy, so when they are placed in this position, it's quite easy also just to take them and make them like new masters for a new vacuum forming printing. But there is no needing now, because I think this is absolutely still in the best shape, you know. And looks quite similar to me. Also can be, I don't know, maybe like something that was made by Fisher Model Pattern, like a type of resin and so on. I don't know if they ever get close to the HTM to have a production of this TZ2. I never found any track of this, but probably it was belonging still to a period where I was not so interested in car modeling, you know. Before I was a military modeler, so I didn't search so much for this vehicle. About the TZ2, of course, I fall in love with the shape. Zagato was the designer of this car, and it was the following model of the TZ1, that also have been decently made also as a die-cast model in 1/24, you know. In the other series, when I show you the die-cast production of today, you know, there is also in that series something about Alfa Romeo. They made the 33 Stradale, and they also made the TZ1. TZ1 was slightly smaller, not so wide. It was the TZ2 was a kind of anabolic sister of the TZ1, and much nicer in my opinion, much more slant proportion, and was much nicer, I think, in the look. This is just my personal taste, you know. And together with the parts, here it is. Hold on a little, I want to open I want to open this bag so I can show you even better. Maybe this was not a good idea because I have a lot of floating pieces, you know. I don't remember when I fixed this stuff. It was stuff of some years ago anyway. And here we go. And so as you can see, together with the kit, there is in this one, and I don't have for the other model, for the other sample that I have was a TZ2, we have some photo etched parts where you have just the frames of the side windows and some minor parts like the bucklets for the seat belts and the road plate plated Udine. So I think is referred to different cars really belonging to the Targa Florio period, you know, as well as I tried to place them all together in a bag, but I see that probably the bag didn't last so much. We have this part that I think it was connected to the cup filler side, you know, in that position. There it is, you see. So probably this is something that has to be positioned here. A little tricky to make everything with one hand, you know, but I think you understand what I mean, you know. So that was probably a part for the cup filler, as well as you have the pedals. You know, it's stuff that you don't see so much. It's because they are hidden deep down there, and over there is the dashboard, and the dashboard was this one that already had attached one photo etched part. I didn't strip it down because in a way a black coat I will use like a base for the for my finishing, you know, but it was absolutely pretty molded, you know. The typical seats, not too bad also them, you know. This replace exactly the shape of the seat belts of the Alfa Romeo of that period, you know, of the racing Alfa Romeo of the period. There is this very easy metal parts about the suspension of the model, you know, for the front and from the rear part, you know, depending. But it's, I don't have also the instruction sheet of this model, but I don't think it's absolutely needed. It's quite obvious, you know, if you have a proper documentation. It is the same that I do with my models, you know. I usually sell my models to people that are extremely competent and extremely skilled in building, so if they just have some doubts, I always tell them. Also both the and so there is minor parts cast in white metal, you know, and here you have the differential. And this model was still not painted, you know. There is steering wheels, there is all the minor part that is classical to find in this model, you know. There is the handbrake, the line of the exhaust, so some minor details for this type of model. And final touch, and this I don't know because I remember that I took that is a photo etched part, quite easy to lose. No, it's a used model, but I think for my purpose, I think to build this stuff, if not to make another issue, if nobody make them again, because now I have a complete master of this model, so they can only be made, I think, better than this first edition. So we will see. For now I don't have so many plan about it because the model is anyway around. There is anyway the model factory hero, so I really don't know if it is worth it to invest something in something that already existed several years ago, but we will see. Final part is the wheels. This is not casted in soft rubber, they are casted in hard resin, and they have a printing over that is what did they write over here? Dunlop Racing. I don't know if it is correct or not. And what was different from what I remember from other stuff, because I bought from this guy some years ago the wheels for this car, for other Alfa Romeo, these typical hole rims that they used to have. I think they were in magnesium at the time, and they don't look so nice as the one that I get. So maybe it was really another kind of casting and not the final one. Of course, they have different rims from the front, from the rear one, you know, but you can see them here. You see, the rims are different, 2 and 2. And the final detail is the model was quite complete, you know. It was the original HTM, so this was surely the one made for HTM factory. You see target Florio 66, I said before 69, this was a 66, and it looks quite well done, you know, made by Sarah Decal. Sarah Decal, I think it's something from military stuff made by Sarah Decal, so it was a third part making Decal under request. They look quite complete, you know. This car was famous because they had a yellow spot. I remember the red version with the Auto Delta logos, and they had this yellow spot running around the front fender, if I'm not wrong, and the number 130 and 126, both available in white or in blue, depending from the finishing of the model you want to do. That's it. I think it is extremely interesting and a real unicorn, you know. This is really something that is not so easy to find around, so when we find this, it's better to take them. Thank you and see you in the next one.